It was so amazing. And when we know this about each other, we start to see how God has woven the body together. I love that scripture that talks about the eye and, the different parts of the body that here the toe is saying, I wish I was a liver. That's all I want is to be a liver. But if you've ever broken a toe, you know how much you need your toes. Some of you are called to be an ear. Some of you are called to be a hand. And we need the liver because it filters. And Lord knows, some of us lack a filter. I went out and finally she flagged me down again and I thought, oh, this is it. But no, she wanted to tell me that I had tried to serve her a giant bowl of butter. Now, this is the part that is very embarrassing because anybody with half a brain would know that if ice cream is kept in a cooler, it is not in fact ice cream. It is in fact butter speckled with cinnamon to give it a vanilla bean effect. But I had been there from 10 o'clock in the morning and it was now very late at night and I thought, oh no, this is the end of my restaurant career. And it was absolutely mortifying that I had attempted to feed this poor woman a bowl of butter. But you see, it's not actually the butter that was the issue. I'm quite convinced that Jesus himself made butter. Because if you have a fresh loaf of bread and you put a pat of butter on it, it is like Jesus loves me. And then Satan, the deceiver, who has absolutely no creative energy of himself, came along and thought, you know what? Let's just take the salt out because that's biblical. Here's unsalted butter. So just in case you were wondering, salted butter, Jesus, unsalted butter, Satan. Just rest the case. The issue is not the butter. The issue is the butter masquerading as something it's not. And how often do we do that? Do we find ourselves being served up on the tray of life, advertised as something that we are not? We believe that something is wrong with us and we have to put on a front. Despite the fact that God has woven us together so intentionally and so intricately with the exact gift cluster that we have and the exact strengths and weaknesses that we have and the quirks and the things that set our souls on fire and the things that make our blood boil. All of that he has woven into who you are. And at some point, we've believed the lie that we were broken or something was wrong with us. And we started to hide. We put on a mask because of this deep sense of feeling inadequate and then the shame that accompanies that. Our masks get locked in place. Now, this is not a new thing. If you go back to Genesis 3, you find Eve, Mother Eve, and she is in the garden, and God has given them everything. They have everything they could possibly need to survive and thrive. They have it made. And along comes the serpent and shifts her focus off of everything she can have to the one thing she cannot. With a simple question that planted a seed of doubt that said, God is holding out on you. That was the seed of doubt that Satan planted in her heart. And she messed up. And what she did then is what we have been doing ever since. They hid. They messed up, they felt shame, and they hid. And it's what we have been doing ever since. Referred to as the Three Sisters, and the Iroquois introduced it. And it is a companion gardening method where they would build a mound of soil and then they would plant corn and then they would grow beans and they would put squash. And what they did was they found that these three vegetables actually grew far better together than they did separately. Because as the beans grew up the corn, which created like a natural trellis for them to grow, the beans actually strengthened the corn. So when the wind blew really, really strongly, there was a strength that wasn't there before. And the beans would fix the nitrogen in the soil, and then the squash would grow and it would create like a living mulch to keep the moisture in. And then the prickly vines would keep the raccoons away. And so they discovered this incredible method of gardening that would actually create a better crop just because they were planted in close proximity to each other. And I think we are like that. That when we are willing to be in close proximity to each other, even if it's sometimes prickly, that we do better together because we were created for community and we have been and we will always be better together.